Abubakar arraigned before Kano State High Court. And on the foreign scene, thousands of Sudanese demonstrators take to the streets to call for civilian rule and justice for protesters killed since last year's coup. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I am Darshan Hussaina Usman. Now the news in detail. Reverend Father Joseph Shekari, parish priest of St. Monica's Catholic Church in Ikulufari, Kaura local government area of Kaduna State, has been abducted by suspected bandits. This is contained in a statement released by Chancellor, Catholic Diocese of Kafanchan, Reverend Father Emmanuel Okoli. An eyewitness and a resident of Ikulufari, Johanna Madaki, who described the incident as very devastating, said the abductors also killed the cook of the abducted Reverend Father and went away with 2 million naira cash realized from a Thanksgiving service and other valuables. Senator Danjumala, representing Southern Kaduna Senatorial District, in a statement, called on security agencies to bring back the cleric to his family safe. The lawmaker said people in the area have suffered unabated bloodshed and abductions of traditional and religious leaders, urging government to bring the situation to an end. 104 fighters of the Islamic State of West African Province and their family members have surrendered to the 25 Task Force Brigade of the Nigerian Army in Damboa, Borno State. Reports say among those who surrendered were children and women. According to reports, deadly assaults on terrorists by the military have forced family members of the fighters out of their hiding. Police Moving on, police in Zamfara have rescued 5 kidnapped victims in Kunchin Kalgo Forest of Safi local government area of Zamfara State. Police spokesperson SP Mohammed Shehu, who stated this at a briefing in Gusau, said 4 of the victims hail from Zuru local government area of Kebbi State but were abducted along Yankara Safi Road, while the bandits abducted the other victims in Kwantogora local government area of Niger State. SP Shehu said all the victims were rescued unconditionally during an extensive search and rescue operation conducted at Kunchin Kalgo Forest and have undergone medical treatment and debriefed by the police. The command further called on the public to continue to support security operatives in the ongoing operations against bandits and other criminal elements in the state. People in Doma village of Faskari local government area of Katsina State continue to live in fear and uncertainty following bandits' attacks that claimed lives of the residents. Abdullahi Yamadi has an update of the latest happenings in the area.
The update says 11 people were reportedly killed and 12 others hospitalized in Domabi village of Faskari local government area of Katsina State by bandits. The incidents occurred Sunday night, and they are still counting dead bodies in the village. The 12 hospitalized are currently receiving medical attention at Funtua General Hospital, and the bandits were said to have arrived the village around 5:30 Sunday evening and mobilized to the village around 7 p.m. According to a resident of the village, Alaji Samaila Isanguna, the bandits arrived at Domabi on 53 motorcycles with three persons on each, that is 3 in 1, and started shooting to scare the villagers. Though they were said to be carrying sophisticated weapons, the villagers resisted and prevented the bandits from abducting anybody from the village and wrestling any of their animals. When the incident was reported to the military who camped in Rongodia, just a stone throw from the village, they show no response up to the time of compiling this report because we have been talking with the villagers right now. And the villagers, however, succeeded in killing some of the bandits too during the gun duel. But the bandits successfully evacuated the dead ones among them. And according to some confirmed reports, the communities are currently seeing some of the bandits around Kucheri village area mobilizing themselves to launch another attack. It is not precisely whether on Domabi or any other village, but they are mobilizing themselves around Kucheri area. And they have said they have been reporting to various security operatives operating within those areas. In a related development, 2 persons have been killed by a suspected bandits, Ibrahim Jila and Bala Kanji in Kanji village of Bugaji Ward, Jibia local government area. Similarly, at Yadokori, one Badamachi Yellow was killed and several others displaced, with unspecified number of animals rustled. This incident occurred Saturday night, and another attack was also reported on Saturday night on Kalari village of Badari local government area, where suspected bandits killed 3, abducted 8, and rustled unspecified number of animals. When contacted, the police public relations officer, Kasino State Command, confirmed the incident and said concerted efforts are being made to track down the hoodlums.
We're now being joined by Abdulaziz, Deputy Editor, Daily Trust, to discuss the surrender of ISWAP members. Now, you're welcome to News Hour today.
Thank you.
Now, news of this surrender has actually, been accepted with lots of mixed reactions and feelings, with a lot of people thinking that, these surrenders or those who have actually surrendered might not have surrendered genuinely. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I think it's something that, of course, has to be taken with a pinch of salt because it's not perhaps clear why they are surrendering. But of course, we should also know that this is not the first time that terrorists from the Northeast are surrendering. Last year, we witnessed torrents of such surrenders in which members thought to be loyal to the Shekau faction of Boko Haram came out en masse and surrendered to the Nigerian troops, including even in our neighboring countries. We have had such instances in Niger and Cameroon, and amounting to over 8,000. So this is perhaps since the ISWAP started consolidating in this area, this is perhaps the first time that we are witnessing such surrender. But I feel, for me, that any surrender, no matter the intention is something that you can tackle later. But at least I think it's a joyous news, the fact that armed men, for whatever reason, resting their arms and coming out to surrender to the government forces is something for me that I feel it's a good news. It's encouraging because it shows either of the two. One, maybe genuine repentance, which is perhaps, as some people would say, unlikely, but maybe second, which is perhaps more probable, the fact that they are feeling the heat of the military operation.
Okay, but do you think that there would ever be, genuine forgiveness from the people?
Yeah, that is one very tricky issue because I know last year, if you remember, from around middle of last year up to towards the end, up to around September, October, there was this huge debate about what to do with the surrendered terrorists. Do we integrate them? Will the people genuinely and wholeheartedly accept them back into the communities? This, I think, depends on a lot of factors. First is that the profiling of these people surrendering in the first instance. We need to know what rank, what category of membership are these? Are these like some hardened, top-notch guys? Yeah. Or are these just foot soldiers, some of them even conscripted out of their own will? Because we have had instances where Boko Haram will abduct people, especially young people in villages, and conscript them to fight. And then number three There are also, like last year, we discovered that a lot of the people who came out to surrender were not actually fighters, that some of them were people who were living under in territories being controlled by the terrorists. Okay. So I think this profiling is very important. It's first step key to understanding who are these people first. Then secondly, we also need to sensitize the communities, because just surrendering may not mean, as you said, people accepting them and back. Them. But also, if you don't accept them, what do we do? Of course, and there is a school of thought which is quite, I would say, quite rational to say that, that they should be subjected to some form of criminal justice process to ensure that all they did not just get swept overnight and a new leaf turn. But all things considered, I feel that it is a good thing, and also they should, in whatever ways possible, be integrated. Because if you don't do that, it sends bad signals to those who may be willing to come surrender. Out, but also are waiting to see what do we do, how do we handle those that have already surrendered.
Okay, so now with all the surrender, do you see, the end of Boko Haram and ISWAP in sight?
Honestly, no, not because, of course, nothing, even the world has an end, but this is, anything that is ideological is really, really difficult to defeat, difficult to just swipe, just wipe it off. Because these are people who have children, who are having more, what do you call it? They are having a number of strategies to keep the movement going. So I don't see them just, just quitting at once, or even defeating it militarily. It's something that is difficult, because it's not only in Nigeria. We've seen experiences of many places around the world who have fought this thing for even over 25 years. In Somalia, in places like Yemen, like Afghanistan. So it's really tough, but of course we can decimate it to the extent that even if they are there, maybe both through military approach and also stuff like that, which is encouraging, reducing their ranks through non-military measures, it can at least, they can be decapitated to become really important in such a way that they may not pose as much threat as they are used to.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Abdulaziz on News Hour tonight. All right. Moving on to more news. A federal high court in Ibadan on Monday sentenced the man Ibrahim Idowu to 18 months imprisonment for trafficking 4 kilograms of cannabis. Delivering the judgment, Justice Uche Agomo held that she convicted and sentenced Idowu based on the evidence before her, as well as his plea of guilt. Agomo added that she considered the provisions of Section 270 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, which stipulates that anyone who pleads guilty to an offense must be given a reduced sentence. However, to serve as deterrent to others, Idowu is sentenced to 1.5 years in prison. Men Against Rape Foundation lauds the decision of management of Darwin College to resign their positions as founder and members of the management board of the college in the wake of controversy surrounding the death of its student's 12-year-old Sylvester Oromoni. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, Executive Director of the Anti-Rape Foundation, committed to curtailing all forms of sexual and gender-based violence across Nigeria, Lemi Ugegbe, says the resignation of the founder and board members was a mark of honor. The report.
So many people that were observed in various portals, including social media, were saying, how does this bring Sylvester back? But for those of us who have been in the business of working towards eliminating all forms of sexual and gender-based violence, it is significant to us. You would recall that since Sylvester's ordeal broke out with all the videos that trended on social media, Nigerians had been very outraged by it and have been calling for justice for Sylvester. We are committed to insisting that there must be justice for Sylvester.
Uwakwe advised that other schools enmeshed in alleged cases of sexual molestation of their students should emulate the example by doing college instead of grandstanding and embarking on propaganda simply in a bid to preserve their business interest.
And because of that, they announced that they are resigning in order to rejig the administrative architecture and do better in the interest of the Nigerian child. That is a mark of honor, and we want to commend them for it, and urge other schools, particularly those who are still undergoing investigations over incidents of sexual abuses and molestation, over incidents of criminal negligence or negligence as you may call it, and they are currently being investigated, that they should emulate that step taken by Dowen. Because more often than not, most of these schools, because of business interests, continually deny any wrong without doing a real self-examination in order to check where are we going wrong, what are we doing right, let's improve on the right, let's correct the wrong. This is our interest, because the Nigerian child is increasingly endangered.
Killer of Hanifa Abubakar, Abdulmalik Tanko and his accomplices have been arraigned before Kano State High Court. The court adjourned the hearing into the killing of 5-year-old Hanifa to February 14th in order to allow the suspects have legal representation. Presiding Judge Justice Usman Naabba ruled that the case cannot continue without legal representation for the accused. Meanwhile, the State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Lawal Musa, says a legal aid will be provided to Abdulmalik Tanko and his co-accused standing trial over the kidnap and killing of 5-year-old school pupil.
Today we are in court. Of course, as you are well aware, the Ministry of Justice has already prepared a charge against Abdulmalik and the other 2 defendants. Today we were supposed to apply for the charge to be read to them, but unfortunately they did not have legal representation. This is a very serious offense, capital offense, which of course the Constitution says that you cannot try a person without legal representation. You heard the court ask them, and they said they have no legal representation and that they wanted the state to provide one for them. We are only getting the information now, but we have undertaken to the court that we are going to provide one for them, and we ask for next Monday, that is 14th of February, by 2 p.m. So before then, the state will ensure that they have legal representation, and so that the case can go on smoothly. But I'd like to assure you that as far as the Ministry of Justice is concerned, we are fully ready for this case. We are ready to present our witnesses immediately once the charge is read to their understanding and their plea taken.
You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, Nasarawa River that drowns visitors only. Do stay with us.
The idea was to give the interim government confidence that there is somebody, a military man, who is well known, who can be accepted.
You alluded to the case of your son, Umar Farouk. Are you in touch with him?
Yes, he phones us 2 times, sometimes 3 times in a month.
As always, when I'm talking about late Abiola, I still thank my God for directing me on things to do when he gave me that leadership of this country.
Many of you honest Fulanis, you allow this man to cast aspersion on you.
You know, Zamfara is the mother of all bandits.
The biggest problem, if you permit me, is the fact that we have not been able to get the totality of our citizenry.
It's very, very difficult to have a fixed mind like that this one you will hand over to this person because you think he will do better.
I don't see myself under no circumstance ever leaving APC for another political party. Here on the Mambila Plateau. And this is where the hydroelectric power dam is supposed to be constructed.
Most people in Nigeria are ignorant of the fact that employing a child as a maid is in fact against the law.
Access to the textile mill has been very difficult.
I believe, or I think that if you want to make money, it should be in a place where there are not plenty of people that can do what you do.
From the way things are happening now, I don't think the two parties will make any impact.
I've been talking about the updates concerning the campaign of Nigerian Super Eagles in Abuja.
Bola Tinubu has informed President Muhammadu Buhari of his ambition to contest for the position of president.
To be self-reliant, a blind man defies all odds to become a carpenter in Gombe State.
The country is now experiencing a fourth wave of the COVID-19 pandemic with the emergence of the Omicron variant.
Talks are ongoing between NRC management and the union.
Welcome back. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at some of our top stories. You heard that killer of Hanifa Abubakar, Abdulmalik Tanko, and his accomplices have been arraigned before Kano State High Court. You also heard that 104 fighters of the Islamic State of West African Province and their family members have surrendered to the 25 Task Force Brigade of the Nigerian Army in Damboa, Borno State. To more news, federal government has received 2 million doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine donated by the European Union. National Primary Healthcare Development Agency formally received the vaccines at its National Strategic Cold Store in Abuja. The vaccine donation is part of the EU's commitment to jointly combat the pandemic. Trust TV's Aisha Salihu reports.
The federal government on Monday, 7th February, received 2 million doses of Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines from the European Union. The formal handover of the vaccines took place at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency National Strategic Cold Store by representatives of the European Union and representative of the Presidential Steering Committee on COVID-19 through COVAX as part of a global donation of European Union member states to Nigeria.
Today's donation brings us collectively closer to reaching the milestone of 500 million doses delivered by COVAX, with 300 million donated by Team Europe, an achievement which is worth celebrating today.
Today, these vaccines, Johnson & Johnson vaccines, have a 2-year expiry date, so it allows the government of Nigeria to be able to manage the vaccines appropriately.
The executive director of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Shoaib Faisal, speaking at the event, said the federal government had earlier in 2021 procured 39,850,000 doses of Johnson & Johnson's vaccine from the Afreximbank through the African Union, with the additional 2 million doses by the EU, bringing the total number of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines available in Nigeria to about 51 million.
We're very excited about the fact that this is a very safe and efficacious vaccine. It is a vaccine that we now use as a single dose vaccine, and then the opportunity exists for a booster dose. But for those hard to reach areas, this is a vaccine that is going to be very, very critical. So on behalf of the federal government, I want to sincerely appreciate the European Union for the continued partnership in development.
The executive director further explained that the vaccine will be channeled towards those who live in the hard-to-reach locations such as riverine areas, desert areas, and security-compromised areas.
We'll be focusing the use of the Johnson & Johnson vaccines in the hard-to-reach areas, riverine areas, desert areas, security-compromised areas. This is because we want to seize the opportunity of the single-dose vaccination to reach these populations at the earliest opportunities and not worry about the fact that we'll have to go multiple times. The next time we'll be going will be to give booster doses, and this makes it a whole lot easier than having to navigate 3 potential jabs to each individual in these areas that are particularly difficult to reach.
Although there has been challenges of undue vaccine hesitancy in the country, the NPHCDA is optimistic that there will be improvement to enable the country reach its goal to vaccinate 70% of Nigerians by the end of 2022. The donation of this vaccine is coming at the time the federal government is determined to control the pandemic in the country, where there is mass vaccination of lots of Nigerians just to curb the spread of the disease. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Still talking health, at least 40 persons died of Lassa fever within the first 4 weeks of 2022 in 43 local government areas across 14 states of the country, out of a total of 211 persons that were confirmed infected within the period. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control stated this in its latest Lassa fever situation report, noting that there were 981 suspected cases against 507 cases recorded within the same period in 2021. According to the agency, 229 suspected cases were recorded in January, 42 were confirmed, while 6 fatalities occurred. The statement showed that the number of new confirmed cases decreased from 74 in week 3 to 42 cases in week 4, with most of those affected ranging from the age of 21 to 30 years. Standards Organization of Nigeria says it conducted about 70 surveillances in 2021 aimed at tracking substandard and expired goods in Gombe State. The SON coordinator in Gombe noted that about 50 varieties of unwholesome products were impounded. This is coming amidst concern that fake drinks are in circulation in the state. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
Packaged foods and drugs are in circulation in billions, but some get expired in shopping stores, which medical experts say could be very harmful. These are expired products seized by the Standards Organization of Nigeria SON in Gombe. Without the seizure, these expired products, which may be poisonous, would have been consumed by people out of ignorance. We ask, how often do people check expiry date of a product before consumption?
For example, let's say this pig milk can. So immediately when you bought it, you have to check the level of it. That is dates, date of manufacture and date of expiring. So immediately when you see the date, when it expired, you know. When it's not expired, and you know.
For me, I was once like that back then in school. Not until one of my classmates, whose mother happened to be a medical personnel, we went to buy something with her. And that day she was like, class rep, you need to check, because back then I was the class rep. So she was like, class rep, you need to check this thing. Why are you just buying things like that? I said, okay. Is there any reason? She said, yes, because once you take an expired thing, it affects your organ. You might not see it. It might not happen immediately, but with time, the effect will show up. So for me, I advise everyone that is buying anything that has expiration date should please check before buying. And in case you see that it has expired, you have every right to return it back to whosoever you're buying it from.
To help cut the supply of substandard or expired products, the Standards Organization of Nigeria SON Gombe office is on its feet.
And normally when we go for market surveillance, not only do we look for products that are expired, we look for products that do not have a contact address. So traceability becomes difficult in case of situations where there's need to know where the manufacturers are. So what we do is we go into the market, we look at products, we see their date of manufacture, locational address, that's physical address that we could see, and then anything that could lead to traceability. But what is really of great concern is the level at which products that are expired are in the market. I think the problem we have majorly is the issue of illiteracy, or do I say carelessness on the side of customers and even the dealers themselves in such products. The issue of expired products in Gombe is really quite worrisome. It's one of the things that really bothers us here as an organization that is given the responsibility of enforcing standards. Last year alone, for the year 2021, we were able to carry out about 70 surveillance on products, and we noticed we were able to make about 50 seizures of expired products alone. That is products that have expired.
To be on the safer side, people are expected to heed to the advice of medical experts, check expiry date of a drug or packaged food before consumption, and for shop owners to remove expired products from their stores. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
Uke River in Karu local government area of Nasarawa State provides water for inhabitants in that area, but behind the benevolent resource is a mystery only residents know. Unfortunately, visitors who have no prior knowledge die in this river, thought to take away at least 3 persons in a year. Zainab Bala speaks to some residents she found at the river.
I'm right here in OK Village, and this is OK River. Now, according to stories that I've heard, this river does not drown residents, only visitors. And just yesterday, a young man drowned right here inside this river. Children having a field day, swimming. After a bath, they come out in the sand to cool off. Others dip their net in the water to have a catch. Here, a set of fingerlings. This is the manifestation you see at Uke River, Nasarawa State, about 29 kilometers southeast of Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I came here and met this river. People come to wash here. We enjoy washing our clothes here. I am from Kefi. We have taps, but we prefer to wash here. This river drowns people, but only visitors. There are crocodiles and other water aquatic animals. A mermaid also lives in the water. We come here to wash and have a bath. 3 people have drowned here this year. Another drowned yesterday. He was put out of the water. Residents reached out in search of his relatives, but there was no one. His body was deposited at a mortuary. This river does not drown residents, only visitors. Residents of Uke, where the river got its name, say at least 3 persons drown in a year. But what is worrisome is the fact that they are never the victims, only visitors, and the mystery is yet to be resolved.
We came to swim here. We dived into the water. We noticed a hard surface inside the water. It felt like a human being. We were terrified, so we rushed out.
River Uke is also called Kogi River. The river passes through the ancient town and divides the community into Upper Uke and Lower Uke. Shallow during dry season, the river, with a wide rocky course, is filled to the brim at the peak of rainy season. The depths in this river are always puzzling, said to occur even when it is shallow or almost dry. To recover the bodies, a priest must appeal to the water goddesses to seek permission. Once performed, he dives into the water to retrieve the corpse. He is called Sarkionrua. Zainab Bala, Trust TV News, Uke.
Senior Secondary Education Commission has reiterated its commitment in repositioning the senior secondary education in the country to meet societal needs with the promotion of mathematics, science and trade subjects, among others. The Executive Secretary of the Commission, Benjamin Abakpa, stated this during a working visit to the management of the National Mathematical Center. Abakpa noted that the Commission is putting measures in place to adequately retrain senior secondary school teachers to enable them undertake the task of equipping their students with the adequate skills for nation building. He noted, however, he called for synergy among stakeholders and charged the National Mathematics Center to brace up to the challenge of laying the right foundation for teaching mathematics in senior secondary schools and ensuring that teachers of mathematics are adequately reskilled. Muslim women in Edo State mark 2022 World Hijab Day with a call for respect to the right of women to wear hijab. Nafisa Bello reports that 3 women organizations in the state collaborated to speak with one voice on the Muslim woman's head covering, which has continued to generate controversy. Her report.
The annual event, which was put together by the Edo State chapter of the Federation of Muslim Women's Association in Nigeria, FOMWA, in collaboration with Al-Muminat, the Believing Women, and the Muslim Student Society of Nigeria, MSS, had in attendance women from all walks of life, as well as female students drawn from various schools. In her address, the Edo State FOMWA Amira Hajarabi Abiri appealed to relevant stakeholders on the issues bordering on the Muslim woman's covering, and other women leaders, which include the chairperson at the event, Hajja Sidikot Obaze, advised women on the importance of the hijab.
Permit me to use this medium to appeal to all stakeholders to help tackle this problem faced by the Muslim man within Nigeria and indeed the world over. Muslim parents are hereby advised to find good schools that recognize and teach Islamic values, like our very own former group of schools, to enroll their children at once.
Not believe our governor is not fearing. I would love to preach religious tolerance, equality and justice, which further promotes peaceful coexistence, love, mutual understanding and togetherness.
It's not just for us to put on this. It should reflect in our character. We are modest people. As Muslim women and girls, we should demonstrate a lot of modesty in our behavior.
One of the resource persons, a legal practitioner, Barrister Alamin Alao, outlined the legal status of the hijab in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the students were not left out as they spoke on what they gained from the public lecture which held at the Central Mosque, Benin City, Edo State.
From the legal point of view, you have the Constitution of the Federal of Nigeria, and that is the ground law, in the sense that that law is supreme. Any other law that is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, that particular law will be null and void to the essence of its inconsistency.
The men putting on the hijab gives you a prestige already. People have placed you somewhere before. It's not left for you to work on yourself to go higher.
A lot of things, like wearing of the hijab at all times, whether you go out or you're in. I also learned that we should be wearing any hijab, like transparent hijab or short head covers or what have you. We should wear the full hijab.
I learned a lot of things about the importance of hijab, how we should be wearing our hijab, not wearing scarf or head cover.
The theme of the 2022 World Hijab Day is Hijab is our crown, not a crime. Nafisa Bello, Trust TV News, Benin.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has debunked claims of releasing schedule of activities for the 2023 general elections. Chief Press Secretary to the Chairman of the Commission, Rotimi Oyekomi, dismissed the post as fake news while responding to Trust TV via text. Oyekomi confirmed that the circular has been making rounds online since December 2021 but was not authorized by the Commission. He added that the Commission is yet to release the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general elections and hence enjoined the public to disregard the post. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu signed 3 bills into law on Monday. The bills are those regulating the real estate transactions in Lagos State, law to provide for the registration of cooperative societies, and law to regulate ownership, licensing, and sales of pets, and to prohibit and restrict people from having in custody dangerous animals in public places. The governor signed the bills during the weekly State Executive Council meeting where he saw in 2 advisors. According to the governor, the new bills he assented to will strengthen government and citizens' engagement and relationship, noting that with the laws, residents of the state will continue to live in an atmosphere where the rule of law is enshrined for people and to know what is expected of them.
Strengthening our ability to deliver on all of our promises to our citizens. Because we need people at strategic position, and we need people that have sufficient authority to be able to dispense their responsibility. Also, I've also just signed into law 3 laws: the law to regulate the real estate transactions in Lagos State, the law to provide for the registration of cooperative society in Lagos State, and the law to regulate ownership, licensing, and sales of pets, and to prohibit or to restrict people from having in custody dangerous animals in public spaces. These are also very important addition to our class of laws that this government has been able to push forward. First is to thank the Speaker and other members of the State House of Assembly for seeing the need for them to pass this executive bill into law. I believe this law will help to protect the citizens, to protect, the unsuspecting Lagosians who fall prey to various many, real estates.
Now moving on to security, Nigerian Army reassures its commitment in the fight against any form of insurgency as well as dealing with other criminal elements in different parts of the country. Commander 33 Artillery Brigade, Brigadier General Mukhtar Adamu said this during the West African social activities held at Shadawanka Barracks in Bauchi State. Adamu Imam completes the report.
At the event, the commander says the gathering is a long-age tradition practiced in the Nigerian Army to socialize with other people outside the barracks and to promote civil-military relations and to usher in the activities of the new year. Mukhtar Adamu opined that the Nigerian Army will continue to protect the territorial integrity and to ensure lasting peace and security among people. The Nigerian battalion were everywhere within the country to ensure that their security as well. That is why here in Bauchi, the 33 Artillery Brigade are on ground to maintain peace and stability among people. Retired General Marcus Yake, who represents the state governor at the occasion, says the annual event is showcasing cultural norms and values of Nigerian people urging the military personnel to maintain the cordial and harmonious relationship with other communities, adding that the state government will continue to support the Nigerian military immensely.
To this end, the government has been providing the Army and other security agencies the necessary logistic support for the effective discharge of their duties. I want to assure you all that Bauchi State Government will not relent in the efforts to provide logistic support and ensure conducive working environment for the officers and men of the Nigerian Army in the state.
During the occasion, the Nigerian Army rewarded some serving military personnel who excellently performed well as part of the activities of WASA 2022. Different cultural troops entertained the gathering, as well as display of talent by some outstanding individuals. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
In the same vein, Nigeria's rich cultural heritage comes alive as one brigade of the Nigerian Army, Gusau, marks its 2021 West African social activities in Zamfara State. The annual event affords members of the barracks and civilian communities in Gusau the opportunity to showcase their various cultural heritage to the admiration of guests. The report.
The event, which is observed annually in all formations of the Nigerian Army to mark the end of the year activities with the traditional beating of the retreat. WASA is an important historical event in the yearly program of the Nigerian Army and dates back to the era of the West African Frontier Force, when the British colonial commanders incorporated a social forum into African military life of soldiers to display their local customs and ways of life. The 2021 WASA provides the platform for the commander of the 1 Brigade of the Nigerian Army, Gusau, Brigadier General Caius Boshi, and other senior officers to interact with members of the barracks and civilian communities, as well as to project the rich cultural heritage of the different ethnic groups in Nigeria.
At the early stage, WASA was only held when the Army recorded major feats in battles. But subsequently, it became an annual event, and even at that, some constraints and exigencies of duty forestalled holding the event annually. The event is usually concluded with the traditional beating of retreat to signify the end of the year's activity. This year's 1 Brigade WASA will afford me the opportunity to interact with members of the larger Nigerian Army Barracks community in Gusau and our distinguished guests in a relaxed atmosphere. The organizing committee has worked assiduously to put together beautiful cultural groups and other events that will be showcased in a short while to thrill us. The occasion of this WASA will also afford us the opportunity to honor officers and soldiers who distinguish themselves in various activities undertaken by the brigade during the year 2021.
The Governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawalle, represented at the event by the Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, DIG Mamman Afe, commends the security forces, especially the military, for the current onslaught against terrorists.
Zamfara State government places on 1 Brigade and other security agencies to rid the state from unwarranted banditry and other criminal activities. The contributions of the Nigerian Army in restoring peace to most of local government areas of the state, which was engulfed by insecurity for almost 5 years, cannot be overemphasized. It is my opinion that without the Nigerian army troops, some communities in Zamfara State would have been consumed by the activities of these criminal elements. The brigade has done so well in this regard in collaboration with other security agencies and indeed the entire citizens of Zamfara State. We remain eternally grateful to your activities. The brilliant display of various cultural troops this evening shows that men of the Nigerian Army have no bronchial link with their cultural background. I therefore commend the troops of the 1 Brigade for promoting cultural harmony among the divergent cultural groups in Nigeria, even as they excellently play their constitutional duty of protecting the territorial integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
8 soldiers under the 1 Brigade of the Nigerian Army Gusau were recognized for their outstanding performances during the outgoing year. The event also showcased the various cultural heritage of Fulani, Tiv, Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Idoma, among others, to thrill and light up the incoming year for the Nigerian Army, who carry the operations in Zamfara State against terrorists.
Let's join Chamunda Bang for business news.
Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has debited Zenith Bank PLC, Providence Bank, First City Monument Bank Limited and 11 other banks 356.1 billion naira for failing to meet its 27.5% cash reserve requirement CRR obligation. A breakdown showed that Zenith Bank and Providence Bank were debited 170 billion naira and 40 billion naira respectively. Others are FCMB with 39 billion naira, First Bank of Nigeria Limited 27 billion naira, Guaranty Trust Bank PLC 20 billion naira and Citibank 12 billion naira. Stanbic IBTC Bank, Union Bank of Nigeria PLC and Polaris Banks were debited 10 billion naira each. Keystone Bank was debited 6 billion naira, Ecobank Nigeria 5 billion naira, Sterling Bank PLC 3.6 billion naira, Fidelity Bank 2 billion naira and Nova Merchant Bank 1.5 billion naira. In early 2020, the Apex Bank's Monetary Policy Committee MPC increased CRR by 5% from 22.5% to 27.5% over its intention to address monetary-induced inflation whilst retaining the benefits of a 65% loan deposit ratio LDR policy. The Maize Association of Nigeria MAN has said that crop production has exceeded 40% from 8 million tons in 2015 to 20 million metric tons in 2020. The association, which is planning a maize pyramid in Kaduna State as part of its loan repayment for the 2021 wet season farming under the Anchor Borrowers Program ABP, said the pyramid is aimed at showcasing the success of the program. National President of MAN, Dr. Abubakar Bello, who attributed the increased production to the ABP, said farmers have access to inputs and technology. Bello stated while addressing journalists in Kaduna that the maize, which was sourced from across the country, is the second pyramid erected by the maize farmers since the commencement of the ABP in 2015. The Commissioner of Agriculture, Kaduna State, Ibrahim Hussaini, said the pyramid is symbolic and will go a long way in convincing Nigerians that the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN program and the association are ensuring that Nigeria achieves self-sufficiency in food production. Central Bank of Nigeria CBN.
South Sudanese demonstrators took to the streets in the capital Khartoum to call for civilian rule and justice for protesters killed in last year's coup. Regular mass protests are being held in Sudan since the coup, which derailed the country's rocky transition to civilian rule following the 2019 ouster of autocratic President Omar al-Bashir. Protesters, sometimes numbering in their tens of thousands, have regularly taken to the streets despite a deadly security clampdown and periodic cuts to communications. And finally, in sports, Nigeria Football Federation on Monday announced the reconstitution of the technical crew of the senior men national team, Super Eagles, with Augustine Eguavon staying as interim technical advisor, while former Nigeria World Cup star and former under-20 boys head coach Emmanuel Amunike drafted in as immediate assistant to Eguavon. NFF General Secretary Mohamed Sanusi made the announcement following the NFF's board's recommendation of the Technical and Development Committee retaining Augustine Eguavon as Technical Director and Interim Technical Advisor. Emmanuel Emunike becomes Chief Coach of the Super Eagles, and Salisu Yusuf will be the second Assistant Coach and Chief Coach of the Chan team. Joseph Yobo will be third assistant, and Aliosis Agu remains the goalkeeper's trainer. The reconstitution comes after the Super Eagles' outing at the 33rd African Cup of Nations finals in Cameroon and ahead of the potentially FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 playoff round against the Black Stars of Ghana next month. And with that, we wrap up News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.